Okay, for this week's trick, I'm just going to pull out these two queens. Going to have a card picked. Okay, take the king of diamonds. Fine with me. Square up the pack. Then what we're going to do, take the two queens on top. Alright, just like so. Right there. I'm just going to send them into the middle, just like that. Now the queens are both in the middle. Poke them through, and as you can see, they find a card, and it's the selection. So let's learn how it's done. This week I'm just teaching a variation on the Herman Pass that I really like. I'm sure somebody else has done it, but I came to this conclusion on my own of a way to send a card from the top, just out-jogged, and then do a Herman Pass, and it really looks really nice. It has automatic misdirection. I've done it in people's faces, 3 times in a row, and they won't catch it. So let's learn it. So what you do, you can do some sort of queen production if you want. You could try this one I've been toying with, like that, where you take one queen face up, the other face down on top. When you cut, you put your finger on top and slip this queen to the side and then flip it. I don't know if I like it or not, so maybe you guys can try it out, see what you think. So, or if you're starting just impromptu, then just pull the queens out of the pack. Have somebody pick a card, and then you're going to do a Herman Pass. You should probably check out my Herman Pass video to get it more in depth, but we'll cover it slightly here. The way it works is that you get a break above the card with your pinky. You pull down on that, send the deck, grab it with your pinky, and go like this around. So just check out that other video for a more further explanation of how this works. But we're going to look at a few variations of that. So what you can do is when you first send the card into the middle, dribble down from behind it. Alright, so that way the cards are a little out-jogged there. So then you can put a little pinky break there when you square it up. Then you're going to do your pass, and this time what you're going to do is, my hand technically would be covering this if I was performing it, and you're going to do a little square up on the table. If you want to, if you're standing, you don't have a table, just use your knee. Just bring your knee up and use your knee. So what this looks like is the card's there in the middle, you bring it up like this, you rotate the pack to connect these in the same motion as you square up the cards. So when it's done, it looks like that. Another quick variation for the control. Put it in, catch a break. When you push a card in, if you push it down like this, it'll create a natural break in the front, and then you can just transfer that to the back. Then here's another little variation. Do your pass. And then you're just going to flip the pack, mentioned casually that the card is in the middle. So this one looks like this, like that. And when it's face down, you're just turning the pack, ruffling through, talking about how the card's in the middle. Anyway, or you could just use double lift to bring this card to the top. So the selection's on top. What you're going to do now, take both of our queens, and you're going to get a break under 3 and pick up all 3 of these cards as 1, like this, or pardon me, as 2. So you put the queens on top, and what I like to do is gesture to the back of the first queen, the queen of diamonds, set it down, then as I gesture to the second back, I get my break. That's a good little bit of misdirection. Set it down as well. So now we have 3 cards here. Then you're going to peel off the first queen, put it out-jogged about an inch from the rest of the pack, put the other queen on top, and then immediately out-jog her as well. Then what you're going to do is right now in the situation you have the card in between the queens. You're going to tilt it to the side, spread both of the queens like this. Now at this point you're going to do your first phase of your pass. And then what you're going to do is in the act of squaring them up, you're dropping that on top. to square them up. Okay? So it looks something like this. Okay? So one thing you can do is after you've done this, just try to practice this. The hard part is making sure these don't slide off the edge. So they're spread. As you go over to square them up, the pack drops on. And like literally when I see this happen, I'm just like, wow. I just love the way this looks because it looks so natural. You don't even really notice that the cards are in the middle initially, because the reason is that your emphasis is on these queens. Right now, they're the focal point of attention. And by the way, when you spread these, make sure you don't spread them like this. You can't have this card flash at all. So you're putting them to the side, squaring up your deck, and then just spreading them a little bit like this. You can even cover with your thumb to cover up that spot. Okay? So start your pass, bring it over, square these up, and then you can snap and they're in the middle. Now, right now your card is in between the queens, so if you just put a little downward pressure on the queens and push them through, that pressure will keep them wrapped around the card and push it out the other end. If you want to end that way, fine. Another thing you could do is you could just push them in and then go through. I don't especially like that one because it seems like something fishy could happen while you're pushing them in. You could squeeze the queens and pull out the card. Okay, these are just, a lot of different ways depending on your style to perform it. Here's one other thing you could do. The queens are on top, they see both of the queens, and I explained that I'm going to take both of these queens, squeeze them, and throw them into the pack. And there they are in the pack around your card. So the way this works, the queens are on top, spread, we start our pass. Then at this point we just square up the deck and cover the fact that they are halfway in the deck right now with our hand. Then I pretend to squeeze them. What I actually do is mime squeezing them, and I push both of the queens into the pack with my index finger. And when you're doing this, you might want to push your pinky there so cards don't jut out the other side, because that card will want to stick out. So pinky there, index finger there, covering the pack, pushing it in as I grab. So it looks like I grabbed it, and then throwing them. And then they're in the middle. So that's a nice little variation. So let's talk one more trick you can do with this little out-jog variation of the pass. I mean, this is nothing amazing, but I just really like the way this looks. So here's a simple transposition. Say, alright, we've got this card in here, this card in here. Square it up with a pack, get a pinky break above it. Then we're going to out-jog this one, and I'm actually going to put him right there. I want you to watch that card, because in that instant, the card on top switches to the 6, the card squared up in the middle is the king. So the way this works, when you put this one in, get a pinky break above it, square it up, alright, push this card forward on top, then you're going to out-jog it just a little bit and then square it back up. And as you do that, that's when you do your pass. Alright, so pass, square it up, and then if I'd done that correctly, I would have put the king to the top. So, king's in the middle. Lost it. There we go. You break above the king, push it forward, and just square it up. And right now you're in this situation because you move this half here. So what you're going to do is close your fingers, but what they don't see is you're really under your fingers, you're pushing this card forward. Now you don't want it sticking out probably that much, just about that much. And your palm is going to cover this. Now if your hands are not big enough to do it like this, then just do it as like this, with your palm there. Okay? So all you're doing is with your index finger, you're pushing this card into the middle and pushing this card forward. So when it happens, it kind of looks like that. Okay? And that makes for a nice little transposition. So you can play around with this. So try to come up with your own variations and have fun playing around with this. I mean, like another variation would be to have 2 different cards selected and return to the pack. And then have a random card picked and then this card could go through the pack, and you could say it melts down to find the two selections. So that's one variation. I mean, there's a lot of variations with this. It's just a cool looking move to have a card melt through like this. If you can think of a clever way to turn this into maybe like an inverse, the backwards of an ambitious card routine, where your card starts on top and then it slowly goes down like a few cards, a third of the deck, and then it goes down 2/3, and then it could go like really close to the bottom, and it could look really cool until at last it's all the way on the bottom of the pack. So I'm just playing around with the idea, and I hope you guys do. Hope you enjoy practicing and performing it. So until next week, see you later.